I know people might be getting tired of me talking about the problem, the kind of almost doom that's approaching Dog Crate condos in 416 Toronto. But I have to keep talking about it because it's pretty serious, really. Last estimates, we did a sort of a back of the napkin estimate. I asked a few other people what they thought who are in the business on the development side, on the analysis side, and they thought it was probably about right. That there may be somewhere, likely somewhere, between 10 and 14 billion with a B of complete losses that will occur in the Dog Crate condo world of 416 when the new construction really peaks. Completed new construction, like they told the story before, bought the property 6 years ago, gave deposits. It's taken 6 years to build. Now it's time to take occupancy and get a mortgage and pay the builder off for the condo, and the condo corporation forms. There's so many this year and next year, as between 40 and 50,000 units, all wrongly priced. So when I say losses, I mean that the value of what people have purchased 6 years ago, 5 years ago, has dropped. And also the losses on the rents once they choose to close, if they choose to close, the losses on the rents as well. But really almost a guaranteed 10 billion of losses on what people paid for it versus what it's actually worth today. And we know what it's worth today because right across the street from a building that completes in April, there's another building that completed 2 years ago for exactly the same Dog Crate condo is ridiculously less. It's probably down to about $875 a foot. And the Dog Crate condo in the brand new building is $1,225 a square foot. That's a serious loss. So what's interesting is also, how did we get there? I mean, some of the things are very obvious, and some of the things are more mysterious. So let's run them down. Like the obvious stuff, it's just a big pricing mistake. It's the assumption when somebody bought a condo in 2013 and it was ready to take occupancy in 2018 or 2019, that they'd made a fantastic profit. They bought the condo for $309, and by the time they got to 2018, 2019, it was worth $525, $560. Oh my God, this is like magic. All I did was put down a deposit. I made 200 grand. This is the greatest thing on earth. Okay, nothing is better than this. Rents had risen considerably. They continued to rise. It was just you just assumed this is the greatest thing that could ever happen. And many people just assigned the condo out. They sold it to somebody else. They didn't take quite the full profit of what it was worth perfectly, but they still made, instead of making $200,000 if they closed, they assigned it to someone else and they made $150,000. But they did literally nothing. They never even had to take possession. They just took money from somebody else who bought the condo from them, basically just a few weeks before completion. Okay. So that great experience led people to buy more. When you've had a fantastically profitable experience, made an enormous amount of money, you just want to keep making more. I mean, some people say that's greed. I'd say that's just the way human beings work. I mean, that's just the way we're wired. So that's an obvious one where pricing mistakes come from. If you just assume that the same miraculous, incredible, spectacular, easy profit can be made from the market moving up, why not do it again? Why not just assume that the same thing will happen 6 years from 2020, okay, or 2021 or whatever? Why not just, if you bought in 2019, why not just assume I'm going to have the same thing? Now, the weird part is, if you're buying for $1,100, $1,200 a square foot, you're assuming it's going to go to like $1,650, which in 5 years or 6 years, which doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. But let's talk about the other things that were mysterious that happened. Well, first of all, when people were buying these units in 2019 and 2020, 2021, there was a very fundamental belief that population Canada was going to explode. Because guess what? It was. The federal government had increased the the rate of immigration to over 500,000. Later, it would soar to over 1 million people coming to Canada. You would assume, and by the way, so many of them come to Ontario, so many of them come to Toronto, seemed like a safe assumption that everything would go really great. And wow, they're going to need to pay higher rents and everything's going to go fantastic. But nobody knew that the government would be forced to chop immigration to almost zero, as we've experienced today. The other thing people assumed is, wow, this Airbnb thing makes me a mint, because they did make a mint in 2019 and on and on. They were very, very profitable. Nobody knew the government would crack down and make it almost impossible to do it. And quite frankly, nobody suspected there would be a recession eventually. They'd gone for 16 years of fairly solid, simplistic, not very panicky since 2008. Things had just sort of bumped along quite well without any major unemployment. Like, why would I think there would be unemployment? And hey, I'll tell you one more. 2019 might have been the most intense year of belief in the office, in the belief that, oh, there's just these offices are getting built, they're getting filled up. There's all kinds of tech, finance is expanding, tech's expanding. They're filling up these offices. The path system is packed. I mean, it's so busy downtown. It's the perfect time to buy a condo downtown. Nobody knew about COVID and work from home. And yeah, now I guess we're fucked. Nobody's coming to the office, or drastically fewer people are coming to the office. So it's all these different things happened at once to completely fuck Dog Crate condos downtown. And some of them nobody could have known. Absolutely no one could have known these things. But they're all present. They're all getting bigger now, more problematic. And that's why it's an almost unsolvable disaster for the prices of all of these pre-construction condos coming on stream.